Just hold still, you twitchy little primate. The voice was liquid silk poured over broken glass, sharp edges smoothed by something deep and resonant. Kalen pried his eyes open, skull throbbing like a cracked grav generator. Fluorescent green lines pulsed softly on the ceiling panels above him, shifting in hypnotic patterns. He wasn't in his ship, the rust bucket. This place smelled wrong: ozone, damp earth, and something else. Floral, but with a metallic undertone like blossoms dipped in battery acid. He tried to sit up, finding his wrists and ankles loosely bound by shimmering energy cuffs tethered to the narrow medbay cot. Panic flared, hot and useless. "Hey, what the?" He jerked against the restraints. They held firm, humming faintly. A shadow detached itself from the corner of his vision. She moved with unnerving grace, silent on bare feet. Tall, slender skin like polished obsidian catching the green light, revealing swirling patterns of emerald and gold beneath the surface. They pulsed, brighter, dimmer, shifting like oil on water. A long, prehensile tail, tipped with delicate fin-like membranes, swayed gently behind her. Her eyes were huge, luminous pools of solid gold, lacking pupils. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable but intensely focused. "You bleed messily," she observed, holding up a small, transparent tool that glowed with the same green energy as the cuffs. A faint red smear marred its tip. "Had to seal the cranial fracture. Minor, mostly." Kalen stared. Fracture. He vaguely remembered the asteroid field, the proximity alarm screaming, a blinding impact, then nothing. "Who are you? Where am I?" His voice was rough, throat dry. She came closer, leaning over him. The floral metallic scent intensified, strangely alluring despite the circumstances. Her internal light patterns swirled faster, brighter. Gold chased emerald under her dark skin. "I am Lyra. You are aboard my vessel, safe." Her definition of safe seemed flexible. "Safe, I'm tied down." He rattled the cuffs again, a pointless gesture. Lyra's lips, thin and dark, quirked. "Amusement. A precaution. Humans are fragile and prone to poor decisions when disoriented." She reached out, long fingers brushing his temple near the injury she'd apparently treated. Kalen flinched, but her touch was surprisingly gentle, cool. A faint tingling spread from the contact point, easing the throb in his head. Weirdly pleasant, too pleasant. He jerked his head away. "Don't touch me." Her hand hovered, fingers slightly curled. The lights under her skin pulsed, a flicker of something: surprise, annoyance. "Your biosignature spiked," she murmured, mostly to herself. "Fascinating." She straightened up, tail giving a slow lash. "The cuffs stay, until I am certain you won't damage yourself or my ship." "Your ship looks more like you salvaged it from the same scrapyard I got mine." Kalen glanced around the small, functional space, clean but worn, definitely not military or corporate. "The Starweaver is functional," she said, a defensive edge sharpening her silky voice. "Unlike your rust bucket." She pronounced the name with disdainful curiosity. "How do you know its name?" Lyra tapped a panel beside the cot. A holographic image shimmered into existence, the battered hull of his ship drifting, a nasty gash torn down its side. "Your transponder was still active, barely. Your vessel is unsalvageable, but you," her golden eyes swept over him again, lingering, "you are intact, mostly. Intact and her prisoner. Fantastic. Look, Lyra, I appreciate the patch-up job really, but I've got places to be, scrap to haul. If you'll just let me go." He tried for charming, failed miserably. Lyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes caught in a sudden breeze. "Go, little primate, you misunderstand." She leaned close again, the proximity making his skin prickle. Her scent was dizzying. "You aren't leaving, not yet." Her hand darted out, faster than he could track, fingers pressing lightly against the pulse point on his neck. The emerald and gold lights under her skin flared, swirling directly beneath her touch. A strange warmth spread through him, a feeling of connection, resonance. It was terrifying and compelling all at once. "Your pulse quickens again," she whispered, her voice dropping lower, intimate. "Good." Before he could demand what the hell she meant, a harsh, static-laced voice cut through the ship's internal comms. It was the same language Lyra spoke, but colder, brittle. "Lyra, status update. Have you secured the asset? Confirm resonance compatibility." Lyra straightened instantly, the soft amusement vanishing from her face, replaced by a guarded tension. The lights under her skin dimmed, shifting to cooler blues and silvers along her arms. She tapped the comm panel irritably. Status confirmed, Signia. Assets secured, compatibility being assessed. Her golden eyes flicked towards Kalen, a silent warning in their depths. Being assessed. It should be immediate. Did you bungle the acquisition? Did you damage it? The voice, Signia, sounded furious. Kalen didn't need a translator to catch the hostility. Lyra's tail lashed sharply. The asset is functional. There were complications during retrieval, minor turbulence. She practically spat the last words. Minor turbulence, our sensors tracked significant debris collision. If you've broken him, Lyra, after claiming primary salvage. He is not broken, Lyra snapped back, her voice sharp. And my claim stands. Resonance is strong. She looked directly at Kalen as she said it, a challenging glint in her eyes. His heart hammered against his ribs. What the hell was resonance? And why did it sound like these sisters were fighting over him like the last functioning power converter at a swap meet? Lyra cut the comm link abruptly, plunging the room back into relative silence, broken only by the hum of the ship and Kalen's own suddenly loud breathing. Lyra turned back to him, her expression smoothing out, but the tension remained in the tight set of her shoulders, the sharp, cold flickering of silver light under her dark skin. My sister, she explained, her tone clipped. She worries unnecessarily. Kalen had a strong feeling Signia's worry felt a lot more like homicidal rage. Sister sounded more like a rival scavenger trying to steal your claim. Lyra's lips thinned. Our relationship is complex. She gestured vaguely. Suffice it to say, she disapproves of my methods and my acquisitions. Her golden eyes lingered on him again, that strange mix of clinical curiosity and something warmer, possessive. Especially this one. He was an acquisition, property, and apparently property someone else wanted. This just kept getting better. He tested the cuffs again, subtly this time. Still humming, still holding fast. He needed off this ship. He needed away from Lyra and her terrifyingly intense stare, away from her crazy sister, away from whatever the hell resonance was supposed to mean. But looking at Lyra, the way the light shifted beneath her skin, the predatory grace in her stance, he had a sinking feeling escape wasn't going to be easy. Or quiet. And part of him, the stupid, self-destructive part that always got him into trouble, was morbidly curious to see what happened next. Kalen spent the next cycle, judging by the dimming and brightening of the ambient green light, testing the energy cuffs whenever Lyra wasn't looking. They remained stubbornly indifferent to his efforts. Lyra brought him nutrient paste that tasted suspiciously like the ship's floral metallic smell and water that shimmered faintly. He ate, needing the strength. Complaining wouldn't get him anywhere. So, he started, deciding information was his best weapon right now. Why me? Plenty of ships get smacked by asteroids. Why haul my carcass out of the wreckage? Lyra was adjusting something on a wall panel, her back to him. The emerald and gold patterns swirled lazily across her shoulders and down her spine, mesmerizing. Your specific trajectory intersected a sensitive corridor, she replied evasively, not turning around. And your ship's drive signature, primitive as it is, possesses certain unique resonance frequencies. Resonance again. What is that? Some kind of Zelosian, is that what you are? Pick up line. He meant it sarcastically, but her tail twitched and the lights on her back pulsed brighter for a second. She finally turned, leaning against the panel, arms crossed. Her golden eyes seemed to bore right through his bravado. Resonance is connection, compatibility, the alignment of biofrequencies. It dictates much in our culture. Alliances, pairings, status. Pairings, like mating. The word felt ridiculously blunt, but her reaction, a sudden flare of gold light across her cheekbones, confirmed it. Among other things, she conceded, looking away for a moment. My sister Signia believes resonance can be engineered, forced. She pursues power through calculated alliances. She looked back at him, her gaze intense. I believe resonance must be found, discovered. Kalen's stomach did a slow, nervous flip. And you found it with me, a random human scavenger. Your biosignature flared brightly upon proximal scan during the salvage, Lyra admitted, her voice low. An anomaly, highly unexpected, highly potent. She pushed off the wall, prowling the small space again. Signia intended to claim this sector, this corridor. She believes a compatible pilot, one who resonates with the area's energy fields, is key to navigating the unstable currents within. She had candidates. Her lips curled slightly. None satisfactory. Then you arrived. Intentionally broadcasting, he swallowed. So you grabbed me before she could. My salvage claim was registered first, Lyra stated simply as if discussing mineral rights. Possession reinforces the claim, especially her gaze flickered down his body, lingering just long enough to make him shift uncomfortably when preliminary resonance is strong. Preliminary, full resonance requires contact, sustained proximity, and exchange. Her voice dropped again, husky, intimate. The air thickened. Felt an irrational urge to test those energy cuffs again, violently. Look, lady, I'm not some prize stud pony, I just want my ship back. Your ship is space dust, she cut him off flatly. Accept it. Then I want off yours, drop me at the nearest inhabited asteroid, I don't care. Lyra stopped packing directly in front of his cot, close enough that he could feel a faint warmth radiating from her. That is not currently an option. Her expression hardened slightly. Signia is. Persistent, she monitors local traffic. Letting you go would be sentencing you to her less gentle methods of assessment. Less gentle, Kalen didn't want to imagine what that entailed. He glared up at her. So I'm stuck here, your compatible pilot prisoner. My guest, she corrected, a ghost of amusement returning. A highly valued guest whose unique abilities are required for a task. What task? Navigating the Serpent's Coil Nebula, she said. There's something within it I need to retrieve. Something Signia also wants. Your resonance should allow safe passage through the gravimetric distortions, something my ship alone cannot manage. Kalen knew the Serpent's Coil, a graveyard for ships riddled with unstable wormholes and energy storms. No one went there willingly. You're insane. Perhaps, Lyra conceded easily, but you will assist me. It wasn't a request, he sighed, slumping back against the thin mattress. Arguing was pointless for now. Fine, but these cuffs come off. I can't pilot jack squat tied to a bed. Lyra considered him, head tilted. The gold in her eyes seemed to deepen. Very well, but she held up a warning finger, its tip glowing faintly emerald. Attempt to disable my ship, harm me, or escape before the task is complete, and you will regret it. She tapped a sequence on the panel beside his cot. The energy cuffs flickered and dissolved into harmless light motes. Kalen slowly sat up, rubbing his wrists. Freedom felt good, even if it was conditional. He swung his legs over the side of the cot, testing his balance. A little shaky but functional. He stood up, stretching carefully. Lyra watched his every move, her tail swaying almost imperceptibly. She was taller than him by a few inches, adding to her intimidating presence. He needed to find a weakness and opportunity. He took a step towards the door, testing her reaction. Lyra shifted instantly, blocking his path without seeming to move quickly. Close again, too close. Her unique scent filled his senses. He could see the intricate dance of light beneath her skin, feel the subtle energy radiating from her. His own body responded involuntarily, a warmth pooling low in his gut. Damn it. He forced himself to meet her golden gaze, injecting false confidence into his voice. Lead the way, Captain. Let's see this serpent's coil. Lyra held his gaze for a long moment, searching his face. Then a slow smile spread across her features, predatory and undeniably alluring. Follow me, little primate, and try to keep up. She turned and glided out of the medbay, her tail giving a final, teasing flick against his leg as she passed. He hesitated for only a second before following her into the dimly lit corridor, the faint thrum of the ship's engines vibrating through the deck plates beneath his feet. Trapped or not, he was moving, and that was better than being tied down. Even if he was heading straight into a nebula known for eating ships, piloted by a captivating alien who considered him compatible property, while her angry sister likely plotted new and interesting ways to kill him. Just another Tuesday. The Starweaver's bridge was compact, designed for a single pilot, clearly Lyra. A wraparound console displayed shifting holographic star charts and complex energy readings Kalen couldn't decipher. The main view screen showed the swirling, chaotic beauty of the Serpent's Coil Nebula looming closer, vast clouds of incandescent gas in reds, purples, and blues, laced with crackling streaks of raw energy. It was terrifyingly beautiful. Lyra settled into the pilot's chair, her movements fluid and economical. Her hands danced over the controls, which seemed to mold slightly to her touch, glowing faintly where her fingers made contact. "Strap in," she ordered without looking at him. A second seat, more utilitarian than hers, was bolted to the deck nearby. Kalen lowered himself into it, fumbling with the unfamiliar harness clasps. They clicked shut just as the ship shuddered, hitting the nebula's outer edge. On the view screen, the serene drift of space vanished, replaced by roiling, turbulent energy. "Report any unusual sensory input," Lyra commanded, her voice tight with concentration. The lights under her skin were shifting rapidly now, mostly blues and silvers, focused, intense. "Define unusual," Kalen muttered, gripping the armrests as the ship bucked. "Anything beyond the standard terror of flying into a death trap." A low chuckle escaped her. "Vibrations, auditory anomalies, sudden temperature shifts. Your human senses might perceive the gravimetric distortions differently." He closed his eyes for a second, trying to filter the visual chaos and focus. There was a low hum, deeper than the engines, vibrating not just through the ship but through his bones. A faint, high-pitched whine tickled the edge of his hearing. "Low-frequency hum," he reported. "And a whine maybe 15 kilohertz." Lyra nodded, her fingers flying across the console. "Acknowledged, compensating for subspace resonance." The hum lessened slightly. The ship lurched violently to port, throwing Kalen against the harness. Warning klaxons blared briefly before Lyra silenced them with a gesture. "Energy surge," she stated calmly, maneuvering the ship through a tightening spiral of cosmic dust. "Cygnia's probes?" Kalen asked, scanning the swirling chaos outside for any sign of another vessel. "Unlikely. She wouldn't risk her own ship this deep yet." This is just the coil playing rough. For the next hour, it was a tense ballet between Lyra's skill and the nebula's fury. Kalen called out sensor ghosts, energy spikes, and the strange hums and whines that ebbed and flowed around them. Lyra responded instantly, her control precise, almost instinctive. He found himself watching her hands. The way the light beneath her skin seemed to flow into the controls, anticipating the ship's needs. There was an undeniable grace to her, even under pressure. And something else. Twice, when the ship was hit by particularly vicious grav waves, her eyes flickered towards him, a flash of gold concern in their depths before focusing back on the view screen. Maybe she didn't want her compatible pilot damaged before he served his purpose. Or maybe he pushed the thought away. Dangerous territory. "There," Lyra said suddenly, pointing towards a relatively calmer patch of space ahead, dominated by the dark silhouette of a large, jagged asteroid. "Our destination." The old Zalosian listening post, Xylos. Listening post, out here. Ancient history, Lyra deflected. Before our home world shifted. She guided the Starweaver towards the asteroid, her movements precise. As they approached, intricate, faded carvings became visible on the asteroid's surface, geometric patterns that echoed the lights beneath Lyra's skin. She expertly navigated the ship into a narrow canyon, landing them gently on a flat plateau hidden from open space. The engines powered down, leaving an almost unnerving silence, broken only by the faint, omnipresent hum Kalen had noticed earlier. Lyra released her harness, stretching languidly, the movement sending ripples of gold and emerald light across her back. Phase 1 complete. She turned in her seat, fixing him with that intense golden gaze. "Now for the retrieval." "What exactly are we retrieving?" Kalen asked, unclipping his own harness. "Data, tech, shiny rocks." "An ancestral resonance crystal," Lyra said, her voice taking on a softer, almost reverent tone. "It contains memories, echoes of our past, my lineage." "Why is it out here?" "It was placed here for safekeeping during the sundering. Only one attuned to its frequency, guided by compatible resonance, can safely retrieve it." She looked pointedly at him. "Ah," Kalen stood up, stretching the kinks out of his back. "So I'm your key." "You are the conduit," she corrected. "Your biofield will help stabilize the crystal's energy matrix during extraction." She slid gracefully out of her chair and moved towards the ship's exit ramp controls. "Come. The post is not far, and we have limited time before the nebula's currents shift again, or before Cygnia gets braver." The ramp lowered with a hiss, revealing the asteroid's surface, dark, pitted rock under the eerie, swirling light of the nebula filtering down the canyon. The air was thin, cold, carrying the scent of ozone and ancient dust. Lyra paused at the top of the ramp, her tail swaying gently. She glanced back at him, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. maybe uncertainty. Stay close, Kalen. The use of his name, not primate or asset, surprised him. Wouldn't dream of wandering off, he replied, trying to sound nonchalant. He followed her down the ramp onto the alien surface, the strange hum vibrating faintly through the soles of his boots. He had a feeling the real danger wasn't just the nebula or signia anymore. It was the growing, undeniable pull he felt towards the alien woman walking beside him, her inner light a captivating beacon in the desolate landscape. The listening post wasn't built on the asteroid, it was carved into it. A vast, echoing network of tunnels and chambers, surprisingly well preserved despite their apparent age. Faint geometric patterns, similar to those outside, glowed with residual energy on the walls, pulsing in time with the pervasive low hum. Lyra moved through the corridors with confidence, Kalen following close behind, his hand instinctively hovering near the multi-tool clipped to his belt. Not that it would do much against whatever dangers lurked here, or against Lyra herself if she turned hostile, or against her sister. The air was warmer inside, thick with the smell of dust and dormant machinery, overlaid with Lyra's unique floral metal scent. "Impressive place," Kalen commented, his voice swallowed by the cavernous space. "What happened here? Why abandon it?" Lyra ran her fingers over a glowing wall panel. The patterns brightened at her touch. "Our people once spanned star systems. We communicated through resonance, shaping energy and matter with thought and song." Her voice was soft, tinged with melancholy. "The sundering, it was a cataclysm, a dissonance cascade that shattered our connections, scattered our people. Many worlds were lost, much knowledge forgotten." She turned to face him, the ambient light catching the shifting colors beneath her skin. "This crystal holds echoes of what we were. My lineage trace originates here. It is important. Important enough for your sister to try and kill you for it." Lyra's expression tightened. "Signia doesn't care about heritage. She sees the crystal as a power source, a focusing lens for her ambitions." She started walking again, deeper into the complex. "She believes harnessing its energy will grant her dominance, allow her to force resonance where it does not naturally occur." "And you?" Kalen asked, falling into step beside her. "What will you do with it?" Lyra paused, looking at him searchingly. "Restore it, perhaps learn from it, understand the dissonance that broke us." She seemed vulnerable for a fleeting moment, the predatory confidence replaced by a deep-seated longing, and proved that connection cannot be manufactured. They reached a large, circular chamber. In the center, floating above a crystalline pedestal, pulsed an object of breathtaking beauty. It was a multifaceted crystal, easily a meter tall, glowing with an internal light that shifted through the entire spectrum: deep blues, vibrant greens, fiery reds, soft golds. Concentric rings of energy rippled outwards from it, creating shimmering interference patterns in the air. The low hum was intense here, resonating deep within Kalen's chest. "The Heartstone," Lyra breathed, her eyes wide with awe. The lights under her skin flared brightly, echoing the colors of the crystal. "Okay," Kalen said, feeling suddenly out of his depth. "It's shiny. How do I conduit this thing?" Lyra approached the pedestal cautiously. "The energy field is unstable. Your presence, your specific resonance signature, should act as a buffer. Allow me to approach safely and initiate the containment sequence." She gestured for him to stand beside her. "Just be present. Focus on the connection you feel." Connection. He felt a headache coming on from the hum and a distinct urge to be somewhere else. But he also felt something else. A strange pull towards the crystal and disconcertingly towards Lyra. He took a deep breath and stepped closer, standing shoulder to shoulder with her. Her warmth, the faint electrical tingle of her proximity, was distracting. "All right," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Doing my best human buffer impression." Lyra reached out slowly towards the pulsing crystal. As her fingers neared the shimmering energy field, arcs of violet light snapped towards her. She flinched back. "The field is stronger than anticipated," she murmured, frowning. "Signia may have attempted to tamper with it remotely, to lock it down." She looked at Kalen. "I need closer proximity, to you." Before he could ask what she meant, she took his hand. Her skin was cool, smooth, but a surprising warmth bloomed where their fingers interlaced. The lights under her skin surged, gold and emerald swirling intensely, flowing up her arm from their point of contact. Kalen gasped as a jolt, not unpleasant, shot up his own arm. It felt like plugging into a power source. The hum in the chamber seemed to coalesce, focusing between them. He could feel her, not just her physical presence, but a sense of her focused intent, her awe, her determination. It was overwhelming, intimate. "Focus, Kalen," Lyra whispered, her voice tight. "Channel the resonance. Let it flow." He didn't know how, but he tried, focusing on the strange energy surging between them, the connection. He felt Lyra draw on it, her own energy field visibly brightening, stabilizing. She reached out again towards the heartstone. This time, the defensive arcs of light subsided. Her fingers passed through the outer energy field, nearing the crystal itself. Suddenly, a section of the far wall exploded inwards in a shower of rock and dust. Standing silhouetted against the swirling nebula light filtering from the breached tunnel was another Zalosian figure. Taller than Lyra, her skin seemed darker, almost matte black, and the lights shifting beneath it were sharp, aggressive slashes of crimson and icy violet. Her eyes were the same solid gold, but hard, narrowed with fury. "Signia. Touching precious things, sister." Signia's voice echoed Lyra's silky quality but lacked any warmth. It was pure, cold menace. "And using my intended acquisition as a battery, how resourceful." She took a step into the chamber, her gaze fixed on Kalen, stripping him bare. "He resonates strongly indeed. A shame you'll break him before I get the chance to truly test his limits." Lyra pulled her hand back from the crystal, instinctively stepping in front of Kalen, shielding him slightly. Her own lights flared emerald green, a protective, warning color. "Leave, Signia. This is my claim, my lineage." "Lineage." Signia laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "That fossil belongs to the future, Lyra, to strength, to me." She raised her hand, and a crackling field of violet energy formed around it. "Give me the crystal and the human, and I might let you crawl back to whatever forgotten moon you hid on." Lyra didn't reply. She simply shifted her stance, dropping into a defensive crouch, her tail lashing behind her. The air crackled with tension. Kalen gripped his multi-tool, heart pounding. He'd faced pirates, repo men, and angry dockworkers. This felt different. Primal. Caught between two alien sisters fighting over him and a glowing space crystal, deep inside a crumbling asteroid in a killer nebula. His life had officially gone completely off the rails. Signia didn't wait for a reply. She lunged, not at Lyra but sideways, striking the crystalline pedestal supporting the heartstone with a blast of violet energy. The pedestal shattered, sending jagged shards flying. The heartstone wobbled precariously, its light flickering wildly, the hum pitching into an agonizing shriek. "No!" Lyra cried out, instinctively reaching for the falling crystal. But Signia was faster, tackling Lyra, sending them both crashing to the floor in a tangle of limbs and flashing lights, emerald and gold versus crimson and violet. Kalen scrambled back as the heartstone hit the ground with a deep, resonant boom that shook the entire chamber. Cracks instantly spiderwebbed across its surface, raw energy leaking out in blinding white pulses. The hum intensified, vibrating through Kalen's teeth, making his vision blur. Alarms blared from somewhere deeper in the complex, ancient, failing system screaming warnings. Lyra shoved Signia off her, scrambling towards the damaged crystal. "You fool, you'll destabilize the entire asteroid." Signia rose smoothly, brushing dust from her shoulder. A cruel smile touched her lips. "A small price to pay for retrieving what is mine." She fired another energy blast, not at Lyra this time, but at the ceiling directly above the heartstone. Rocks rained down. Kalen reacted on instinct, grabbing Lyra's arm and yanking her back just as a huge chunk of ceiling smashed down where she'd been kneeling. "Thanks," Lyra gasped, regaining her balance. Her eyes, wide and luminous, met his for a split second, conveying shock and a flicker of something else: gratitude, connection. There was no time to analyze it. Signia advanced, her movements predatory. "Touching the help now, sister. How far you've fallen." Lyra ignored the jibe, her focus entirely on Signia. "Ends now." They circled each other, energy crackling around Lyra's hands, Signia matching her with violet power. Kalen looked frantically between the dueling sisters and the damaged heartstone, which was pulsing erratically, sending waves of distortion through the air. The ground trembled beneath his feet. This place was coming apart. He wasn't a warrior. He was a scavenger, a pilot. He fixed things, he flew things, he ran away from things he couldn't handle. This was way outside his pay grade, which was currently 0. But watching Lyra, the fierce determination in her stance, the protective way she put herself between him and Signia, he couldn't just stand here. He looked at the Heartstone. Lyra had said he was a conduit, a buffer. Maybe he edged towards the damaged crystal, trying to ignore the way the pulsing energy made his skin crawl and his head pound. "Kalen, get back!" Lyra shouted, momentarily distracted. Signia seized the opening, landing a glancing blow of violet energy on Lyra's shoulder. Lyra cried out, stumbling, the lights on that side flickering erratically. Kalen reached the crystal. He didn't know what he was doing, but Lyra's words echoed in his mind. Focus on the connection. Let it flow. He reached out, not quite touching the cracked surface, but extending his hands into the chaotic energy field surrounding it. It felt like plunging his hands into static electricity mixed with ice water and fire. Painful, jarring, but beneath it, that strange resonance. He closed his eyes, trying to ignore the duel raging behind him, focusing on the hum, the energy, trying to stabilize it, absorb it. He felt a connection snap into place, like docking clamps engaging. Not just with the crystal, but through it to Lyra. He could feel her pain from Signia's hit, her fury, her desperation. And beneath it all, a current of warmth directed at him. The light from the Heartstone seemed to coalesce around his hands, the wild pulsing smoothing slightly, the agonizing shriek lessening into a deep, powerful thrum. He felt energy pouring into him, overwhelming his senses but somehow manageable. Lyra gasped, her head snapping towards him. The lights across her skin flared brilliant gold. Even Signia paused, her eyes widening slightly as she saw him interacting directly with the crystal's raw power. "Impossible," Signia hissed. "No outworlder can channel the Heartstone." Lyra used Signia's momentary shock. She lunged, faster than Kalen thought possible, striking Signia square in the chest with a focused blast of emerald energy. Signia staggered back, clutching her chest, the crimson light under her skin sputtering. She snarled, a furious, wounded sound, and launched a desperate counterattack. A wide arc of chaotic violet energy aimed not at Lyra, but at Kalen and the crystal. Lyra moved without hesitation, throwing herself in front of Kalen, taking the full force of the blast on her back. She cried out, a sharp, broken sound, and collapsed, falling against him, her weight suddenly heavy. The lights across her back went terrifyingly dim, almost extinguished. The connection between them, the flow of energy, faltered. The Heartstone shrieked again, the chamber shaking violently. Kalen caught Lyra, lowering her gently. Her eyes fluttered closed. Panic seized him. Signia advanced, a triumphant, vicious light in her eyes. Pathetic, sacrificing yourself for a broken tool and a primitive. She raised her hand for a final blast. Kalen looked down at Lyra's still form, the faint, struggling pulse of emerald light near her heart. Then he looked at the raging crystal, felt the unstable power thrumming around him. He wasn't a warrior, but right now he was all Lyra had. He focused again on the crystal, on the fragile connection he still felt to Lyra, pouring every ounce of will he possessed into it, trying to shield her, trying to push back the chaos. He felt something give within him, a dam breaking, and the energy from the Heartstone surged through him, raw, immense, terrifying. It arced off him. Not violet or emerald, but pure, blinding white light, striking Signia and throwing her back against the far wall with bone-jarring force. She slumped to the ground, unconscious or worse, the lights under her skin extinguished. The chamber fell silent, save for the deep, steady thrum of the Heartstone, now stabilized, bathing the room in a calm, white glow, and the ragged sound of Kalen's own breathing. He swayed, dizzy, drained, the adrenaline crashing hard. He looked down at Lyra, still unconscious, in his arms. The back of her suit was scorched, her skin beneath ominously dark, but the faint emerald light near her heart pulsed a little stronger now. He had no idea what he'd just done, but they were alive. For now. The asteroid groaned around them. They needed to get out. Now. Kalen gently scooped Lyra into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, but worryingly still. Her breathing was shallow, ragged. The emerald light near her heart was the only illumination under her skin now, a faint, lonely beacon. He had to get her back to the Star Weaver, back to the medbay. He glanced at Signia's crumpled form against the far wall. No sign of movement, no light. He didn't have time to check if she was dead or just knocked out. Leaving her here felt wrong, but dragging two unconscious Elosians through collapsing tunnels wasn't feasible. Lyra was his priority. He turned, carefully cradling her, and started back the way they came, moving as quickly as he dared through the groaning, dust-filled corridors. The ambient light panels on the walls were flickering wildly now, some completely dark. The structure felt profoundly unstable. He focused on putting one foot in front of the other, shielding Lyra's body with his own as small chunks of rock occasionally skittered down from the ceiling. The Heartstone's energy had left him feeling strangely energized yet deeply fatigued, a bizarre combination. Reaching the ship felt like crossing a finish line. The ramp was still down, the canyon outside filled with swirling nebula dust kicked up by the asteroid's increasing instability. He hurried up the ramp and straight to the medbay, laying Lyra gently on the same cot he'd occupied earlier. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, unfocused gold meeting his. "Kaelin," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "SHHH. Save your strength," he murmured, already scanning the medbay controls. He was no medic, but he could follow instructions. Thankfully, the system seemed intuitive, designed for field use. He initiated a diagnostic scan. Red warning icons immediately flashed up over her torso and back. Severe energy trauma, internal bruising, biosignature dangerously low. The autodoc extended articulated arms, whirring softly as it began applying stabilizing fields and injecting hyposprays. Kaelin watched helplessly, clenching and unclenching his fists. He'd caused this. Indirectly, maybe, but if he hadn't been there, if he hadn't resonated, maybe none of this would have happened. Or maybe Signia would have just killed Lyra outright for the crystal. There was no way to know. He felt a desperate need to do something. He went to the bridge. The ship's internal sensors showed the asteroid's structural integrity failing rapidly. He needed to get them out now. He strapped himself into the pilot's seat, Lyra's chair feeling strangely empty beside him. His hands hovered over the alien controls. He'd watched her, absorbed more than he realized during their entry into the nebula. He powered up the engines, the familiar thrum a small comfort. Taking off wasn't graceful. He scraped the canyon wall, sending shudders through the ship but lifted off, angling the Starweaver sharply upwards. As they cleared the canyon rim, he saw it, Signia's ship, previously hidden, now ascending rapidly from another fissure on the far side of the asteroid. It was sleek, predatory, gunmetal gray with violet running lights, and it was turning towards them. "Oh, scrap," Kaelin muttered. Apparently, Signia wasn't out of the fight, or maybe her ship's autopilot had retrieved her. Either way, it meant trouble. He pushed the engines harder, weaving through the remaining debris field surrounding the dying asteroid, heading back into the main chaos of the Serpent's Coil. Signia's ship was faster, gaining on them. Warning lights flashed on the console, weapon lock. Kaelin swore, throwing the Starweaver into a tight, evasive spiral, dodging the first volley of energy blasts. They impacted harmlessly against a dense gas cloud behind them. He wasn't a combat pilot, but desperation was a powerful motivator. He needed to lose her in the nebula's interference. He scanned the chaotic sensor readings, looking for the densest energy storms, the most unstable gravimetric shear lines, places Signia, even in her superior ship, might hesitate to follow. He spotted a particularly nasty-looking confluence ahead, a swirling vortex of red and violet energy crackling with lightning. Flying into that was probably suicide, but being caught by Signia was definitely worse. He banked hard, aiming straight for the storm's heart. The ship protested, groaning under the strain. Alarms screamed. Kaelin gritted his teeth, fighting the controls as turbulence threatened to tear the ship apart. Behind him, Signia's ship hesitated at the edge of the storm, then seemed to peel off, unwilling to risk pursuit into the vortex. Small victories. Now he just had to survive getting through it. The ship felt like it was being ripped apart. Kaelin's vision blurred, the hum inside his head becoming a physical force. He felt a strange echo of the Heartstone's energy, a resonance within him connecting to the storm's fury. Instinct took over. He stopped fighting the turbulence and started. flowing with it using the gravimetric waves, anticipating the energy surges, letting the ship ride the currents like a leaf in a raging river. It felt insane, impossible, but it was working. Slowly, agonizingly, they punched through the worst of it, emerging into a relatively calmer, though still hazardous, region of the nebula. Kalen slumped back in the seat, drenched in sweat, hands shaking. He'd done it. They were clear. For now. He checked the medbay monitor feed on a secondary screen. Lyra was stable, the autodock still working. Her internal light was a steady, soft emerald glow. Relief washed over him, so potent it left him weak. He set a course out of the nebula, the plotted trajectory glowing green on the nav display. They needed somewhere safe to recover, to repair. Somewhere Signia wouldn't find them. As the ship hummed steadily through the thinning nebula clouds, Kalen found himself looking at the empty co-pilot chair. He'd saved her life, maybe. She saved his. They channeled some kind of cosmic space magic together. He barely knew her, and yet he felt an undeniable bond, forged in shared danger and that bizarre resonance. He had no idea what Lyra would do when she woke up, where they would go, how they would survive with Signia hunting them. But for the first time since waking up on her ship, he didn't feel like a prisoner. He felt like a partner, and that scared him more than any nebula or angry alien sister. He found a secluded asteroid field in an unmapped system several parsecs away from the Serpent's Coil, nestling the Starweaver deep within a cluster of large, sensor-baffling rocks. Powering down all non-essential systems, they drifted in silence, hidden. Kalen spent the time alternating between monitoring Lyra's slow recovery in the med bay and attempting minor repairs to the ship's battered hull using the external drones. Lyra remained unconscious for 2 full cycles. The autodock reported steady improvement, the severe energy damage slowly knitting itself back together, her biosignature strengthening. The soft emerald glow under her skin became richer, deeper, occasionally swirling with faint hints of gold. Kalen found himself spending more and more time by her bedside, watching the hypnotic patterns, feeling a strange sense of peace he hadn't experienced in years. He wasn't sure what to say when she woke up. "Sorry your sister tried to kill us. Thanks for not letting me die. Nice resonance we got going on here." On the 3rd cycle, he was checking the medbay readouts when her eyelids fluttered. Her golden eyes opened, clearer this time, focusing on him almost immediately. She blinked slowly, taking in her surroundings. "Kalen," she whispered, her voice rough but stronger than before. "You're okay," he said, relief making his own voice thick. "Mostly. Ship's a bit banged up. Asteroid didn't make it." Lyra absorbed this, her expression unreadable. She tried to sit up, wincing. Kalen instinctively moved to help, supporting her back. Her skin felt warm beneath the thin med-bay tunic. The proximity sent that familiar jolt through him, stronger now, less startling, more like a current of recognition. She leaned against him for a moment, her breathing soft against his neck. The floral metallic scent of her filled his senses, comforting and intoxicating. "Signia?" she asked quietly. "Got away," Kalen admitted. "Her ship picked her up, I think, chased us for a bit, but I lost her in an energy storm." Lyra nodded slowly, pulling back slightly to look at him. Her golden eyes searched his face. "The Heartstone, still in the chamber far as I know, damaged. I stabilized it, temporarily, used its energy against Signia." He felt awkward admitting it, like confessing to borrowing her car and crashing it. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "You channeled it directly," he nodded. "Had to." She was going to finish you off. A complex mix of emotions played across Lyra's face, surprise, or something that looked suspiciously like gratitude. The lights under her skin swirled, warm golds mixing with the deep emerald. "No outworlder should have been able to do that," she murmured, mostly to herself. "The resonance, it must be stronger than I imagined." She met his gaze again, a new intensity in her eyes. "You saved my life, Kalen." "You saved mine first," he countered gruffly, uncomfortable with the sudden sincerity. "Called it even." Lyra smiled, a genuine soft curve of her lips that transformed her face, making her look younger, less guarded. "Perhaps." She shifted, settling back against the pillows, her gaze still locked on him. The silence stretched, filled only by the quiet hum of the medbay equipment. It wasn't awkward, though. It felt charged, expectant. Kalen cleared his throat. "So, what now?" "Signia knows about me, about the resonance. She knows you're alive. She won't stop." Lyra's smile faded, replaced by determination. No, she won't. The Heartstone was only part of her goal. Possessing a strongly resonant conduit, she looked pointedly at him. Would give her immense power within the recovering Zalosian factions. She will hunt us. Us, Kalen echoed. The word hung in the air. He wasn't just her asset anymore. He was part of the equation, part of the danger. And strangely, he didn't want to run, not this time. We need somewhere safe, Lyra continued. Somewhere she won't find us. There are hidden enclaves, remnants of our people who rejected Signia's path. Can you find them? With the ship's sensors repaired, possibly, but we are vulnerable out here alone. She hesitated, then reached out, her cool fingers brushing against his hand. The emerald and gold lights pulsed softly at the point of contact. Kalen, the bond we share, the resonance. It's not just a tool, it's more. He didn't pull away. Her touch felt right, grounding. I know, he admitted quietly. He couldn't deny the connection he felt, the strange sense of belonging he experienced when near her, the terrifying intimacy of feeling her emotions during the fight. Lyra's fingers laced with his, her grip surprisingly strong. Signia seeks to control resonance. She squeezed his hand gently, we must trust it. Trust. A word Kalen hadn't associated with anyone in a long time. He looked into her luminous golden eyes, saw the shared experience reflected there, the fear, the fight, the unexpected connection. He saw vulnerability beneath the alien warrior. He saw a future he hadn't dared to imagine. Okay, Lyra, he said, his voice steady. Okay, we trust it. Where do we go? A brilliant smile lit up her face, chasing away the shadows. The lights under her skin flared, a dazzling display of gold, emerald, and sapphire. There is a place. A sanctuary hidden within the Ghost Nebula. They value true connection above all else. They will help us. She held his gaze, her expression open, hopeful. Will you fly with me, Kalen? It wasn't an order this time. It was an invitation, a choice. He looked down at their joined hands, the contrasting colors of their skin, the light flowing between them. He thought of his old life, the solitary grind, the constant looking over his shoulder. This was dangerous, uncertain, insane, but it was real, it was connection. He met her eyes, a slow smile spreading across his own face. Yeah, Lyra, he said, let's fly. The journey to the Ghost Nebula took several cycles. With Lyra navigating and Kalen piloting, they worked together seamlessly, an unspoken understanding flowing between them as easily as the resonance Lyra spoke of. Repairs continued, Lyra guiding Kalen through the intricacies of her ship's alien systems, her touch often lingering on his hand as she pointed out a control or adjusted a diagnostic reading. Each touch sent sparks along his nerves, a pleasant warmth spreading through his chest. They talked. Not just about navigation charts and power levels, but about their pasts, Kalen's solitary life scraping by on the fringes, Lyra's exile from her fractured people, her resistance against Signia's ruthless ambition. He learned about the Zalosian sundering, the loss of their homeworld, the struggle to rebuild their culture based on fragmented memories and the guiding principle of resonance. She listened intently as he spoke of Earth, a planet she knew only from data streams, her golden eyes filled with curiosity. The forced intimacy of the small ship dissolved barriers faster than light speed. Banter became easier, flirting less guarded. One evening cycle, while sharing nutrient rations in the small galley, Lyra reached across the table, tracing the faint scar near his temple where she'd first healed him. It healed cleanly, she observed, her touch sending shivers down his spine. The lights beneath her fingertips glowed soft gold. Yeah, well, you're good with your hands, Kalen replied, his voice a little husky. Lyra's lips quirked. In many things. She didn't pull her hand away, letting her fingers trail down his cheek, her gaze locked with his. The air crackled. The casual touches, the shared glances, the low murmur of conversation and the quiet hum of the ship, it all built towards an inevitable point. One cycle, after a particularly long piloting shift navigating a treacherous asteroid cluster, Kalen found Lyra waiting for him outside the bridge, leaning against the corridor wall. The ship's internal lights were dimmed for the rest cycle, casting her in soft shadows, the emerald and gold beneath her skin providing a gentle illumination. Tired? She asked softly. Wired, he admitted, running a hand through his hair. Close calls tend to do that. Lyra pushed off the wall, stepping closer. Her unique scent enveloped him. "Perhaps you need help relaxing." Her hand came up, fingers brushing against the pulse point on his neck just as she had in the medbay when he first woke up. This time he didn't flinch away. He leaned into the touch, closing his eyes as the familiar warmth spread through him, deeper, more potent than before. "Your pulse quickens," she murmured, her voice a low vibration against his skin. "Good." He opened his eyes. Her face was inches from his, her golden eyes luminous in the dim light. He could see the intricate dance of light beneath her skin, feel the thrum of energy connecting them. He raised his hand, mirroring her gesture, letting his fingers brush against the side of her neck. Her skin was cool silk over hidden fire. The lights there flared, swirling emerald and gold, intensifying into brilliant sapphire sparks where he touched her. She inhaled sharply, her eyes widening slightly. Kalen. His name was a breath, a surrender. That was all the invitation he needed. He closed the distance, his mouth finding hers. Her lips were soft, yielding, tasting faintly of ozone and exotic spice. It wasn't like the desperate, adrenaline-fueled kiss in the asteroid chamber. This was slow, deliberate, exploratory. Her arms slid around his neck, pulling him closer, deepening the kiss. Her tail curled possessively around his leg. The resonance between them surged, a silent communication passing back and forth, curiosity, desire, a dawning affection that went beyond mere physical compatibility. He tangled his fingers in the silky strands of her dark hair, tilting her head back, exploring the contours of her mouth. She responded eagerly, her own hands mapping the muscles of his back, her touch sending cascades of light rippling across her skin. It was overwhelming, intoxicating. He broke the kiss, resting his forehead against hers, both of them breathing heavily. The air hummed with their shared energy. "Wow," he managed, his voice rough. Lyra laughed softly, the sound like music. "Yes, wow." She traced the line of his jaw with one finger, her golden eyes sparkling. "Compatibility confirmed, I believe," he grinned. "Definitely confirmed." He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the connection, the feel of her in his arms. The loneliness that had been his constant companion for years felt distant, banished by the light and warmth of the alien woman holding him. They ended up in his small sleeping bunk, barely larger than the medbay cot, forcing an immediate, undeniable intimacy. Clothes dissolved into shadow on the floor. Skin met skin. His rougher, warmer, hers impossibly smooth, cool to the touch but radiating an internal heat that belied the surface temperature. Her bioluminescence became a language of its own. Where he touched her, the lights flared, starbursts of gold, ripples of emerald, flashes of sapphire under his palms, his lips. Her pleasure was a visible spectacle, painting her skin with shifting patterns of light and color. She explored his body with the same focused curiosity she applied to her ship's controls, her long fingers tracing lines of muscle, mapping scars, learning his textures. Her touch was electric, eliciting gasps and shudders he couldn't suppress. When she straddled him, her obsidian skin gleaming in the dim light, her tail coiled lightly around his waist, he felt completely overwhelmed, utterly captivated. Her golden eyes burned into his as she slowly lowered herself onto him. The connection, the resonance, slammed into him with the force of a physical blow, not painful but staggeringly intense. It wasn't just physical joining. It felt like their energies, their very essences, were intertwining. He could feel her pleasure as if it were his own, see the dazzling cascade of lights under her skin, feel the deep thrum of connection vibrating through both of them. He cried out her name, gripping her hips, pulling her closer. She threw her head back, a silent cry on her lips, her skin blazing with incandescent light, bathing the small cabin in a momentary, breathtaking dawn. Afterwards they lay tangled together, limbs intertwined, the gentle rise and fall of their breathing the only sound. Lyra rested her head on his chest, her fingers idly tracing patterns on his skin, leaving faint trails of phosphorescence that faded slowly. The lights beneath her own skin had softened to a gentle, pulsing emerald green, calm and content. Kalen stroked her hair, feeling a profound sense of peace, of rightness. He had no idea where this path was leading, what dangers still lay ahead with Signia and the fractured Zalosian politics. But here now, wrapped in the arms of this incredible, luminous woman, he felt home. He'd spent his life running, guarding his heart, keeping everyone at arm's length. Now, inexplicably, impossibly, he'd found someone worth stopping for, someone worth fighting for. He tightened his arms around her, pulling her closer. Lyra sighed contentedly, nuzzling against him. The emerald glow deepened, pulsed once, warmly. Connection, trust. It wasn't so terrifying after all. They arrived at the edge of the Ghost Nebula, a vast expanse of shimmering, ethereal gas clouds that lived up to its name. It pulsed with soft, shifting colors, pale blues, lavenders, ghostly whites, obscuring whatever lay within. Lyra navigated them through the outer layers with practiced ease, following energy currents invisible to Kalen's eyes and the ship's standard sensors. "The sanctuary, Veridia, is shielded," she explained, her hands moving surely over the controls. "Cloaked from conventional scans and protected by resonance barriers. Only those broadcasting the correct signature are permitted entry." "And we're broadcasting the right signature?" Kalen asked, watching the swirling mists on the view screen. Lyra glanced at him, a soft smile playing on her lips. The lights along her arms glowed a warm gold. "Our combined resonance is unmistakable and harmonious. They will recognize it." As they moved deeper into the nebula, the ship suddenly resonated with a deep, melodic chime that seemed to vibrate through the hull and Kalen's bones simultaneously. A shimmering gateway of pure white light opened directly ahead, parting the nebula clouds. "They acknowledge us," Lyra breathed, relief evident in her voice. She guided the Star Weaver through the gateway. Beyond it, the nebula's haze cleared, revealing a hidden star system. At its heart orbited a lush, green world, surrounded by several smaller moons and elegantly designed space stations that glowed with the same soft, internal light as Lyra. Veridia. It was beautiful, peaceful, a stark contrast to the chaos they'd left behind. An automated docking sequence initiated, guiding the Star Weaver towards one of the larger stations. As they settled into the docking bay, Kalen felt a wave of apprehension. These were Lyra's people. Would they accept him? A human, an outworlder, accidentally entangled in their internal conflicts. Lyra seemed to sense his unease. She placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "They value harmony, Kalen, connection. They will see the truth of our bond." The docking ramp lowered, revealing not armed guards but two serene-looking Zalosians. They were older, their movements slower, more deliberate than Lyra's, the lights beneath their skin shifting in gentle, calming patterns of silver and deep blue. They inclined their heads respectfully towards Lyra. "Lyra, daughter of the lost lineage, welcome," one of them said, their voice a soft, resonant hum. "Your resonant signature heralds your arrival," and their luminous eyes turned towards Kalen, curious but not hostile. "It brings an unexpected harmony." Lyra stepped forward, Kalen beside her. "Elders, I am grateful for your sanctuary. We have faced difficulties." "My sister, Signia." The second elder raised a hand gently. "We know of Signia's path. Her dissonance echoes even here. You are safe within Veridia's field." They led them from the docking bay into the station proper. The interior was breathtaking, flowing architecture that seemed grown rather than built, soft ambient light. The air filled with gentle chimes and the same floral metallic scent Kalen now associated solely with Lyra, but purer here, less sharp. Zalosians moved through the corridors with quiet grace, their lights shifting in a dazzling array of colors. Many paused to observe Lyra and Kalen, their expressions ranging from surprise to open curiosity, but there was no malice, no suspicion. They were brought to comfortable living quarters, overlooking the green planet below. Food was provided, strange, delicious fruits and nutrient-rich liquids that tasted like sunlight. For the first time in cycles, Kalen felt like he could actually relax, let his guard down completely. Lyra, too, seemed to shed a layer of tension she hadn't even realized she carried. Her movements became softer, her laughter more frequent. They spent their time exploring the station, learning about the Veridian Zalosians, artists, historians, scientists dedicated to rediscovering the lost knowledge of their people and fostering true resonance. They didn't judge Kalen. They were fascinated by him, by the unprecedented interspecies bond he shared with Lyra. One evening, sitting on the balcony overlooking the planet, Lyra leaned her head on Kalen's shoulder. "Is this enough?" she asked quietly. "This peace, or do you miss the chaos?" Kaelin looked out at the serene beauty, then down at her, the soft emerald and gold lights pulsing beneath her skin. The chaos found me, Lyra. I didn't go looking for it. He paused, considering. This, he gestured around them, then looked back into her eyes, feels like something worth finding. Her smile was radiant. She kissed him gently, a promise of shared futures, of quiet moments stolen between whatever came next. But peace, Kaelin knew, was often temporary. Signia was still out there. She knew about Viridia, even if she couldn't penetrate its defenses directly. She was patient, ruthless. Sooner or later, the outside galaxy with its conflicts and dangers would intrude. One cycle, while Lyra was consulting with the elders about the Heartstone data they'd managed to partially retrieve before fleeing Xylos, Kaelin was approached by the first elder he'd met. "Kaelin of Earth," the elder hummed softly. "May I resonate with you for a moment?" Kaelin hesitated, then nodded. The elder placed a cool hand gently on his forearm. There was no jolt, just a soft wave of calming energy, a sense of profound wisdom and understanding flowing from the elder. "Your bond with Lyra is unique, a bridge between worlds perhaps, unexpected but strong." The elder's golden eyes held his. "Such bonds are often tested." "Signia," Kaelin stated. The elder nodded slowly. "Dissonance seeks to unravel harmony. Signia embodies this struggle. She represents a path many Xylosians, lost and fragmented after the sundering, find appealing power through control, forced connection." "Can she be stopped?" Kaelin asked. "Dissonance cannot be destroyed, only harmonized." "Or contained," the elder replied cryptically. "Lyra believes connection must be genuine. You are proof of that possibility, but Signia will see you as a threat to her philosophy, a symbol she must either convert or extinguish." The elder removed their hand. "Protect the harmony you have found, Kaelin. It is precious and rare." The elder's words lingered long after they left. Protect the harmony. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about defending the connection, the love that had unexpectedly bloomed between him and Lyra. He knew with chilling certainty that their sanctuary wouldn't remain untouched forever. Signia would find a way, and when she did, he would be ready. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore. He was Lyra's partner, and he would fight for their shared future. The attack came not as a frontal assault, but as insidious sabotage. Viridia's resonance shield, the primary defense generated by the station's core and amplified by the collective harmony of its inhabitants, began to flicker erratically. Alarms chimed, soft at first, then increasingly urgent. Lyra, Kaelin, and the elders gathered in the station's central control hub, a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing complex energy flows. "It's Signia," Lyra said immediately, her hands flying over a console, her own lights flashing sharp silver warnings. "She's found a way to introduce a counter-resonance frequency, subtly from a distance." The Viridian technicians worked frantically, but the shield continued to destabilize. Cracks of distorted space appeared momentarily on the main view screen, showing the cold void outside. "She's trying to create a breach large enough for a targeted strike," the lead elder stated grimly, their usual calm replaced by focused intensity. "Or to insert troops." Kaelin felt Lyra's tension beside him, a mirror of his own tightening gut. "Can you counteract it?" he asked. "We are attempting to recalibrate the shield harmonics," Lyra replied, her brow furrowed in concentration. "But her frequency is adaptive, shifting constantly. It's like she's learning." Suddenly, a violent shudder ran through the station. Red alert klaxons blared, overriding the softer chimes. "Hull breach, Sector Gamma 7, a technician shouted. "Boarding party detected." Signia hadn't waited for the shield to fall completely. She'd forced a localized weakness punch through. Kaelin met Lyra's eyes. The time for peace was over. "Stay and coordinate the shield defense," Kaelin said quickly. "You understand the harmonics better than anyone. I'll handle the welcoming committee." Lyra hesitated, torn. "Kaelin, no, it's too dangerous." "More dangerous if they reach this control hub," he argued. "You need to focus here. I can handle myself." He squeezed her hand, pouring reassurance, determination into the touch. "Trust the resonance, remember." For a second, fear warred with resolve in her golden eyes. Then she nodded, her grip tightening on his briefly before releasing him. "Be careful, my heart." He gave her a tight, confident grin he didn't entirely feel. "Always." He turned and sprinted from the hub, grabbing a standard issue Zalosian energy sidearm from a weapons locker on his way out. It felt light, unfamiliar compared to his trusty, clunky human blaster, but it would have to do. He raced through the corridors towards Gamma 7, passing frightened but resolute Viridians, some arming themselves, others moving towards designated safe zones. The station's peaceful atmosphere was shattered, replaced by the urgent thrum of emergency protocols. He reached Gamma 7 just as Signia's troops, Zylosians clad in dark armor, their lights masked or glowing with the same cold violet as Signia's, blasted through the final inner door. They moved with ruthless efficiency, clearly trained soldiers, unlike Viridia's artists and scientists. Kalen took cover behind a flowing bulkhead support, firing off quick bursts from the energy pistol. He wasn't a soldier, but years of dodging pirates and navigating treacherous scrap deals had honed his survival instincts. He used the station's unfamiliar architecture to his advantage, darting between cover, taking potshots, trying to slow their advance. He managed to disable 2 of them, their armor sparking before they collapsed, but more kept coming. They were pushing towards the control hub. He needed to stop them here. He was pinned down, energy blasts searing the air inches from his head. He risked a glance back. The corridor leading to the hub was still clear, but not for long. Just as he braced for another volley, a figure landed silently beside him, Lyra. She held a more substantial energy rifle, her face set, emerald lights blazing with controlled fury. "Thought I told you to stay put," Kalen grunted, ducking another blast. "Coordinating is done," Lyra replied tightly, firing a precise, powerful shot that took down another trooper. "The Elders have stabilized a new harmonic sequence, but it requires constant adjustment. They need time." She glanced at him, her eyes fierce. "Besides, did you really think I would let you face them alone?" A fierce surge of affection warmed him despite the danger. "Wouldn't mind the backup," he admitted. Together, they were more effective. Kalen's unpredictable, scrappy tactics combined with Lyra's precise power and knowledge of Zalosian combat techniques. They covered each other, anticipated each other's moves, the resonance between them a silent, instantaneous communication channel. They fought back to back, pushing the boarding party back towards the breach point. But then she appeared. Signia stepped through the smoking remains of the outer hull breach, flanked by 2 heavily armored guards. She wasn't wearing armor herself, just a simple dark tunic, but power radiated from her, colder and stronger than before. The violet light beneath her skin pulsed with malevolent energy. Her golden eyes fixed on Lyra, then flicked dismissively towards Kalen. "Still clinging to your pet, sister," Signia's voice dripped contempt, "and still hiding behind others' shields." "This sanctuary welcomed me, Signia," Lyra retorted, raising her rifle. "Something your path of forced connection will never achieve." "Connection?" Signia laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Power is the only connection that matters. And he," her gaze sharpened on Kalen, "is a font of it, untapped, wasted on sentiment." She raised her hand, violet energy crackling around it, far more intense than what he'd seen on the asteroid. "I will take him, then I will take this station, and then I will reshape our people according to my design." Lyra stepped forward, placing herself protectively in front of Kalen again. "You will have to go through me." Signia smiled coldly. "Gladly." She unleashed a torrent of violet energy. Lyra met it with her own emerald blast. The 2 energies collided between them, exploding in a shower of sparks, throwing Kalen and the nearby troopers back. He scrambled to his feet, ringing in his ears. Lyra and Signia were locked in a furious energy duel, emerald versus violet, harmony versus dissonance, sister against sister. The very air crackled around them. Kalen knew this was their fight, but he wouldn't stand by. He aimed his pistol at Signia, but one of her guards intercepted the shot with an energy shield. He was forced back into fighting the troopers, trying to clear a path, trying to help Lyra. He could feel her struggle through their bond, the immense strain of holding back Signia's amplified power. Signia was stronger now. She must have found a way to augment herself, perhaps using stolen tech or draining power from her unwilling followers. Lyra was faltering, driven back step by step. Kalen disabled the last trooper near him and turned just in time to see Signia unleash a particularly vicious blast. Lyra cried out, her own shield shattering, the emerald light across her skin sputtering violently. She stumbled, falling to one knee. Signia advanced, triumphant, raising her hand for the final blow. "It ends now, sister." Kalen didn't think. He reacted. He launched himself forward, tackling Signia low, throwing off her aim. Her energy blast went wide, scorching the ceiling. She snarled, swatting him away with contemptuous ease, sending him skidding across the deck. Pain flared in his shoulder. "Insignificant gnat," Signia spat, turning her attention back to the fallen Lyra. But Kalen's interruption had bought Lyra a precious second. Gathering her remaining strength, she looked not at Signia but at Kalen. Her eyes pleaded, urged, connected. He felt it, a surge of shared energy, the resonance flaring between them, stronger than ever before. It wasn't like channeling the Heartstone's raw power. This was different, focused, shared, harmonized. He pushed himself up, ignoring the pain, focusing entirely on Lyra, on their bond. He felt her draw on his energy, his stability, his unwavering belief in her, in them. And he felt her power flow into him, cool, strong, emerald bright. Signia, sensing the shift, turned back towards Kalen, her eyes widening in disbelief as she saw the faint emerald light now overlaying the subtle glow beneath his own human skin. "No, impossible." As Signia hesitated, momentarily confused by this unexpected development, Lyra rose. She wasn't blazing with overwhelming power, but with a deep, steady, radiant emerald light. She met her sister's furious gaze, her expression filled with sorrow, but also unshakable resolve. "This is true connection, Signia," Lyra said softly, her voice resonating with quiet power. "Something you will never understand." She opened her hands, not projecting energy, but letting the harmonized resonance flow outwards, washing over Signia. It wasn't an attack, but an offering. A wave of pure, undiluted connection, empathy, harmony. Signia screamed, recoiling as if burned, clutching her head. The violet light under her skin flickered violently, warring with the encroaching emerald harmony. It wasn't destroying her, but disrupting her forced control, overwhelming her carefully constructed dissonance with the sheer force of genuine connection. She staggered back, her power faltering, the violet light sputtering and dying. With a final, choked cry of rage and confusion, she collapsed, unconscious. The remaining guards, seeing their leader fall, hesitated, then surrendered as Viridian security forces arrived, securing the breach. Silence fell, broken only by the distant, steady chime indicating the resonance shield was fully restored. Kalen rushed to Lyra's side. She swayed, depleted but upright, the intense emerald light slowly softening back to its usual gentle glow. He caught her as she leaned against him, her strength finally giving out. "Kalen," she whispered, burying her face in his shoulder. "It's over," he murmured, holding her tight, feeling the steady beat of her heart against his, the soft pulse of their shared resonance. He looked down at Signia's unconscious form, then back at the peaceful Viridians beginning the work of repair. Maybe it truly was over, or maybe it was just a new beginning. In the aftermath, Viridia slowly returned to its usual tranquility, though the memory of the attack lingered. Signia was placed in a specialized containment field designed to dampen her dissonance and prevent her from harming others or herself. The elders spoke of rehabilitation, of trying to heal the fractured resonance within her, but Kalen saw the deep sorrow in Lyra's eyes whenever her sister was mentioned. Healing Signia, if possible at all, would be a long, painful process. Kalen and Lyra found their own healing in each other. The battle had forged their bond into something unbreakable, the shared flow of energy leaving an indelible mark. There was a new depth to their intimacy, a comfortable silence that spoke volumes, an instinctive understanding of each other's moods and needs. Kalen no longer felt like an outsider. The Viridians accepted him, acknowledging the role he played not just in Lyra's life, but in defending their sanctuary. He started learning more about their technology, finding his scavenger skills surprisingly applicable to understanding and even repairing some of the ancient Zalosian systems. Lyra, freed from the immediate threat of her sister, began working closely with the elders, studying the fragmented data recovered from the Heartstone, seeking to understand the past and guide her people towards a more unified future. Her lineage, once a burden, now felt like a responsibility she was ready to embrace, with Kalen by her side. One cycle, they took a small shuttle down to the surface of the green planet orbiting below the station. They landed in a lush forest clearing beside a crystal-clear waterfall cascading into a turquoise pool. The air was sweet with the scent of unknown blossoms, and strange, melodious birdsong filled the air. Lyra shed her tunic, her obsidian skin gleaming in the dappled sunlight, the emerald and gold lights swirling gently. She waded into the pool, turning and holding out her hand to Kalen. He stripped off his own clothes, feeling strangely shy for a moment under her warm gaze, before taking her hand and joining her in the cool, refreshing water. They swam, played, washing away the lingering tension of battle and uncertainty. Afterwards they lay on a soft patch of mossy ground, sunlight warming their skin, Lyra's head resting on his chest. "I never thought," Lyra began softly, trailing off. "Never thought what?" Kalen prompted, stroking her hair. "That I could feel this, contentment, safety." She lifted her head, looking into his eyes, her golden gaze earnest. "After the sundering, our people, we focused so much on survival, on reclaiming what was lost, on fighting the dissonance. I forgot what it felt like to simply to be connected truly without struggle. We fought for this," Kalen said quietly, "this peace." "You fought for it," she corrected, touching his cheek. "You, a human, showed more understanding of true resonance than my own sister. You chose connection over power." He covered her hand with his own. "I chose you, Lyra." The words felt simple, true. All the fear, the guardedness he'd carried for so long had melted away, replaced by this steady, unwavering affection. Smiled, a slow, breathtaking curve of her lips that still made his heart beat faster. "And I chose you." She leaned in, kissing him softly, lingeringly. It wasn't the desperate joining after battle or the fiery passion of new discovery. It was a kiss of quiet certainty, of deep emotional intimacy, a promise silently renewed. They stayed there for hours, talking, laughing, or simply enjoying the peaceful silence, their bodies close, their resonance a gentle hum between them. The future was still uncertain. Cygnia's followers were scattered but not gone. The wider galaxy remained a dangerous place. Rebuilding the Zylosian connections would take generations. But Kalen knew with absolute certainty that he wouldn't be facing it alone. He had found his place not on Earth, not drifting through scrapyards, but here, with Lyra, bridging worlds, bound by a connection stronger than species or stars. As the twin suns of Viridia began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Lyra sat up, pulling him with her. Her skin glowed softly in the twilight, the emerald light deepening, swirling with contented gold. "Come," she said, her voice soft. "Let's go home." He stood, taking her hand, their fingers interlacing naturally. Home. It wasn't the Star Weaver or the station orbiting above. It was here with her, wherever she was. He smiled, a genuine, unguarded smile. "Yeah," he said. "Let's go home." They walked back towards the shuttle, hand in hand, their combined resonance leaving faint, shimmering trails in the twilight air, two disparate souls harmonized into one future.